Each Docker image has a tag. By default, an image gets a tag named latest. For example, with Docker images, we can see that these images have the latest tag. We can rebuild this Docker image and give it another tag, other, and then it's going to get a different tag. Now, the problem is that the name latest is quite misleading, since if you build the same image again without an explicit tag, you get a newer latest image, and the previous image is no longer latest, right? It's a bit messy. Leave a comment below if you got hit by this. You're not alone. Let's talk about this. When building, you can indicate an explicit Docker tag. So what is a Docker tag? It's easy to get confused with all this technical jargon and forget which is which. I like to use an analogy. A Docker tag is to an image what a Git commit is to a repository. Let's say you put your code into a Git repository, then you make various modifications. Then commit and push those modifications to the Git repository. Each commit has a unique ID. Similarly, if you have a Docker image, then it has a tag. After building the Docker image, like we do here, you can push it to a Docker repository. You can build and push a Docker image with the same name multiple times. And while Git generates automatically unique IDs for each commit, Docker leaves it up to you to do that. If you don't use another tag, then the old image is overwritten by the newer image. So what is the latest Docker tag? By default, a new image gets a tag named latest, like we saw here. What happens if you already have a Docker image with the latest tag and push a newer version of that image with the latest tag? Of course, the newer version overwrites the older image, which means trouble. So what exactly are the troubles with the latest tag? There are three main issues. The first trouble is low image traceability, which is a fancy way of saying no idea what that image has and how it got there. Sometimes someone pushed some stuff there. Not pretty, right? What if that image needs to be used for production? There must be a better way. The second trouble is accidental overwrites, which means you prepare a new Docker image, push it to the repository, and your colleague does the same 5 minutes later. You expect to have something on that fancy latest Docker image, and you actually have something else. To make it worse, you have no idea that it was overwritten, so good luck, have fun debugging that. Third trouble is name confusion. If you are just getting started with Docker, then hit the like button and subscribe to learn more about Docker. Also, you assume that no means no, and that the latest Docker image is the latest. Sounds reasonable, right? Unfortunately, your local latest might not be the latest in the repository or on your colleague's machine. The latest tag is simply unfriendly to beginners. A better way would be to call it whatever, so that you show you simply don't care about that tag. Alright, but enough with the troubles. What can you do to avoid such troubles? The most important thing is to use explicit tags. And never rely on the default latest tags. Here are 3 ways to add explicit tags. First, use the commit hashes or perhaps just a part of the hash string. This means that when you build a Docker image to include source code from some Git repository, then use the commit hash from the Git repository as a Docker tag for your image. The second way is to use semantic versioning. Give it a tag such as 1.4.0, then 1.4.1 on the next build of that image, and so on. So always go up and don't reuse tags. The third way is to just use timestamps as tags, basically to mark when the Docker image was built. If you use this, watch out for time zones. Try to stick with one time zone for the whole team. Which approach do you like best? Leave a comment below. Any of these approaches to tag your Docker images and staying away from the latest tag is going to help you. Cheers.